I think so.
Or it's like a new group of people. Like one got off and another got on. Oh no, same thing left side.